शलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। भूतैर्महद्भिर्यमा पुरो विभो निर्मायश्येते यदमुषु पुरुषा भुङ्क्ते गुणान् षोडश षोडशात्मका सोऽलङ्कृशिष्ट भगवान् वचांसि मे। श्रीकृष्ण शरणं शरणागतं कथामृतं सततपीपतं भक्तिवेदान्तमार्गपन्थनं सर्वलोक ऋषिदेव जन्न प्रसन्नम सर्वलोक ऋषिदेव जन्न प्रसन्नम। Hare Krishna, dear Prabhus and Matajis. So let's continue with our study of Srīmad Bhāgavatam. So yesterday we were looking at the verse where Kuntī Maharani is beginning to give the reasons for Krishna's appearance. And some of these reasons can be bewildering because it's quite contradictory. She says, some say that the unborn is born for the glorification of pious kings. So all that the Lord is Aja, unborn, but he is Jatam, he's being born. And he specially takes birth for the glorification of pious kings. And Srila Prabhupada in the paper mentions specifically for Maharaj Yudhishthira, Krishna wanted to glorify him as the pious king. This is the quality of Krishna, that Krishna wants to glorify his devotees. Krishna wants to give credit to his devotees for everything that he himself is doing. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, we see that Krishna is saying to Arjuna, "Oh Arjuna, I have already killed all these warriors in the battle of Kurukshetra. You only be nimitta, you only be an instrument. Nimitta matram bhava savyasachi." So he addresses there as savyasachi. Savyasachi means one who is an expert archer. He can shoot arrows with both his hands. So this is the transcendental sarcasm of Krishna, our Guru Maharaj says, that if Arjuna is an expert archer, then Arjuna should kill everyone. However, Krishna says that Mayyeva eta niyata purva etat, that by my previous arrangement, I have already killed all these warriors. Now, nimitta matram, you just become an instrument. Bhava savyasachi, O expert archer Arjuna, you just shoot your arrows, but I have already killed them. So Krishna wants to give glorification and credit to his pure devotees. And in this instance, Punya Shokasya Kirtaye, Yudhishthira Maharaj is described as that pure devotee who Krishna wanted to glorify. And Yudhishthira Maharaj also wants to glorify Krishna. Others say that he is born to please King Yadu. And yesterday we looked that the glory of King Yadu was that he even defied the orders of his father in normal principles of morality. Father's instructions has to be followed. But if the father's instructions or a superior's instructions are contradictory to the interest of the spirit soul, the interest of the spirit soul is to save Krishna. Swartha gatim hi Vishnu. Our benefit is in Vishnu. And if we don't save, and if we make choices in our life which are contradictory to our self-interest, then we are acting with self-envy. We're acting with being detrimental to our own selves. But King Yadu did not come under the emotional blackmail of the instructions of his father. He was very certain that what needs to be done, and he chose to defy his father's order and follow the path of devotional service. And we also looked that sometimes we may not have the choice, but in those circumstances also there is no loss, because devotional service can be performed under all circumstances. Prabhupada in various reports says that devotional service cannot be checked by any material condition. So even though no matter how unfavorable the circumstances may be, we can always internalize our devotional service. And Srimati Kuntī Maharani, who is singing these nice prayers as offering to Krishna, is a perfect example of how, even though situation was never favorable in her life, but she never deviated even an inch away from being surrendered to Krishna and glorifying Krishna. And then Kuntī Maharani goes on to say, you appear in his family as sandalwood appears in Malay hills. So sandalwood is, the best wood you can get in sense of the fragrance, the beautiful fragrance it emits. And so Sri Krishna is compared to the best of all when comparison is made with anything material. So any questions or comments for Mataji so far? Okay, we'll go on to the next verse. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudiraye. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Apare Vasudevasya Devakyam Yachito Bhyagat Ajastvam Masya Shemaya Vadhaya Cha Suradvisham. Would anyone like to read the translation and the paper?
Hare Krishna Prabhupada.
Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Others say that since both Vasudev and Devaki prayed for you, you have taken your birth as their son. Undoubtedly, you are unborn, yet you take your birth for their welfare and to kill those who are envious of the demigod. Purpose. It is also said that Vasudev and Devaki, in their previous birth as Suttapa and Vrishni, underwent a severe type of penance to get the Lord as their son. And as a result of such austerities, the Lord appeared as their son. It is already declared in the Bhagavad Gita that the Lord appears for the welfare of all people of the world and to vanquish the asuras, or the materialistic atheists. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So we see that Vasudeva and Devaki in their previous birth as Suttapa and Vrishni underwent austerities to please the Lord. And when the Lord became pleased, they asked for the benediction that we want a son like you. And so Krishna was born in their home, their household. However, Drona and Dhara, who were Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, they also, performed austerities. But when the Lord appeared to them, they asked, "We want you as our son." So, although Krishna, it is said that was born from Vasudeva and Devaki, but Krishna spent his most sweetest pastimes, his childhood pastimes, and his Kishore pastimes in Vrindavan with Nand Maharaj and Yashoda. So all the reasons here are valid and nice. It goes on to say, undoubtedly you are unborn, yet you take your birth for the welfare and to kill who are envious of demigods. Next verse. Bhāravātarnāṁ bhuvo nāva ivo dado sīrantya bhūri bhārena jato hi atma bhavartitaha. Would anyone like to read the translation in the paper?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I can.
Yes, Mataji.
Others say that the world, being overburdened like a boat at sea, is much aggrieved, and that Brahma, who is your son, prayed for you, and so you have appeared to diminish the trouble. Do I read the purport as well?
Yes, Mataji.
Brahma, or the first living being born just after the creation, is the direct son of Narayana. Narayana, as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, first of all entered the material universe. Without spiritual contact, matter cannot create. This principle was followed from the very beginning of the creation. The Supreme Spirit entered the universe, and the first living being, Brahma, was born on a lotus flower grown out of the transcendental abdomen of Vishnu. Vishnu is therefore known Brahma is known as Atmabhu because he
Hare Krishna. Sorry, what has happened here? Nandita Mataji, you're there? I think you're muted.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji, go on. We couldn't hear you. I think you accidentally you were muted.
Okay. Vishnu is therefore known as Padmanabha. Brahma is known as Atmabhu because he was begotten directly from the father without any contact of mother Lakshmi Ji. Lakshmi Ji was present near Narayana, engaged in the service of the Lord, and still, without contact with Lakshmi Ji, Narayan begot Brahma. That is the omnipotency of the Lord. One who foolishly considers Narayan like other living beings should take a lesson from this. Narayana is not an ordinary living being. He is the personality of Godhead himself, and he has all the potencies of all the senses in all parts of his transcendental body. An ordinary living being begets a child by sexual intercourse, and he has no other means to beget a child other than the one designed for him. But Narayana, being omnipotent, is not bound to any condition of energy. He is complete and independent to do anything and everything by his various potencies very easily and perfectly. Brahma is therefore directly the son of the Father and was not put into the womb of a mother. Therefore, he is known as Atmabhu. This Brahma is in charge of further creations in the universe, secondarily reflected by the potency of the Omnipotent. Within the halo of the universe, there is a transcendental planet known as Svetadvip, which is the abode of the Kshirodakshai Vishnu and the Paramatma feature of the Supreme Lord. Whenever there is a trouble in the universe that cannot be solved by the administrative demigods, they approach Brahmaji for a solution, and if it is not to be solved even by Brahmaji, then Brahmaji consults and prays to the Kshirodakshai Vishnu for an incarnation and solution to the problems. Such a problem arose when Kamsa and others were ruling over the earth, and the earth became too much overburdened by the misdeeds of the Asuras. Brahmaji, along with other demigods, prayed at the shore of the Kshirodak ocean, and they were advised of the descent of Krishna as the son of Vasudeva and Devaki. So some people say that the Lord appeared because of the prayers of Brahmaji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So, another reason that the Lord appeared due to the prayers of Brahma. So what transpires is that whenever there is trouble in the universe, and demigods are being persecuted by demons who for some reason become more powerful than the demigods, then at that time all the demigods, they approach their father Brahmaji and they ask for a solution to the problem. If Brahmaji is not able to resolve the solution, then along with the demigods, he goes to the ocean of Shirodaka. And sometimes in Hindi movies, religious movies, we see this happening. And Brahmaji, along with the demigods, they recite the Purusha Shukta prayers invoking the appearance of Lord Vishnu. However, what is of interest that we read later on in the papers, that no one, even Brahmaji, cannot see Lord Vishnu appearing. What happens is that Lord Vishnu, through Shabda Brahma, imparts instruction into the heart of Brahmaji, and then that instruction Brahmaji relates to the demigods. Now, why can't demigods see Lord Vishnu or Krishna face to face? Very nicely, the demigods themselves answer this question in the 6th canto of Srīmad Bhāgavatam. They say that because we regard ourselves as Prithak Isha. Prithak Isha means independent and separate Lord from Krishna, who is Ishwaram Prakrite Param, who is Supreme Lord, Ishwaram, Supreme Controller, and he is also Prakrite Param. This is another point mentioned in the purport. We'll come to this point later. But because we regard ourselves as separate and independent Lord from Lord Vishnu, therefore, Pashyama Lingam Prithak Ishamaninaha, we cannot see your form. Lingam means form. Pashyama Ling, Pashyam means being able to see. So we are not able to see your form because we ourselves have desires to be separate and independent Lord. And this is a very interesting point. Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that this is also the reason we cannot see Krishna face to face. Because in our hearts, we are the center of the universe. We want to enjoy this material world, and we want to enjoy everything. And if anyone comes in between us and our enjoyment, then that person is our enemy. However, this is unconstitutional and against the innate nature of the jiva. Jiva is supposed to serve his supreme originator. And Krishna says that all jivas, they emanate from me. So all jivas, we are related to Krishna in that sense. So service has to be rendered to Krishna. And if it's not rendered to Krishna, then we find ourselves the center of the universe. And what to speak of ourselves, even the demigods, because of this tendency of Prithak Isha, regarding themselves as separate enjoyers, they cannot see Krishna. Then who are we? How can we ever see Krishna? And then the second point of this purport is that Brahmaji is Atma Bhu, meaning he is born without a mother. Again, the normal way of following in this material world of mother nature is that Purusha impregnates the Stree. However, Krishna is, what does the face verse describe the quality of Krishna? Anyone? Of Kuntī Maharani prayers. Someone has to give this answer. We have been emphasizing on this point many times.
Krishna is beyond the material nature. Prakriti Param.
Yes, very good, Mataji. So Prakriti Param, Krishna is Prakriti Param, beyond the laws of material nature. And because he is beyond the laws of material nature, he can do anything and everything. And also because he is beyond the laws of material nature, he can extricate us out of the jurisdiction of the laws of material nature when we surrender to him. And therefore, Krishna can do anything and everything. And therefore, Brahmaji, when he is not able to resolve the problem, he approaches Krishna and begs for Krishna's appearance, as this phrase says. So in the word to word, we see Bhara Avatara Naya, just to reduce the burden, Bhara, of the world. Avataran Naya means to reduce the burden. Anye, others, Bhavaha, of the whole world, Navaha, boat, Iva, like put the dough on the sea, Sidantiyaha, aggrieved, Bhuri, extremely. So when the population of this universe are extremely aggrieved by the bhara, the burden due to the demons, bharena, by the burden, chataha, then what happens? Jataha means you are born. He certainly, Atma Bhuva, by Brahma, Artitaha, being prayed for. So this is how Brahmaji prays to Krishna to come and reduce the burden of the earth, and Krishna appears. Any questions or comments, Prabhu's Matajis? Okay, we'll continue. Bhavesmin klishyamananam. So this is text 35. Bhavesmin klishyamananam avidya kama karmavi shravana smarana harni karishyaniti kechana. Would anyone like to read the translation?
You can read through.
Yes,
Translation. And yet others say that you have appeared to rejuvenate the devotional service of hearing, remembering, worshipping, and so on, in order that the conditioned souls suffering from material pangs might take advantage and gain liberation. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. In the Srīmad Bhagavad Gita, the Lord asserts that He appears in every millennium just to re-establish the way of religion. The way of religion is made by the Supreme Lord. No one can manufacture a new path of religion, as is the fashion for certain ambitious persons. The factual way of religion is to accept the Lord as the supreme authority and thus render service unto Him in spontaneous love.
Thank you, Mataji. We will just comment on this point. So, the religious principles are said, Dharmam tu sakshat bhagavat pranitam. The principles of dharma are laid by Bhagavan Pranitam himself. No one else can come up with the religious principles. And these religious principles are the innate functional, innate law that automatically govern the activities of the living entity. And if the living entities defy these activities, they cannot escape this function, this law. And Krishna always is above this law. So we have to understand that we cannot say, I believe this, I don't believe this. We are not in a position to do that. Krishna's laws are, what's the word I'm looking for? Is irreproachable again. It cannot be found fault in the principles of dharma or the laws of Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Go ahead.
A living being cannot help but render service because he is constitutionally made for that purpose. The only function of the living being is to render service to the Lord. The Lord is great and the living beings are subordinate to Him. Therefore, the duty of the living being is just to serve Him only.
Thank you, Mataji. So, what is the verse in Srīmad Bhāgavatam that makes this point as the highest dharma? I'll give
Is it Savai Pumsa Paro Dharma?
Yes, Mataji. Can you sing that verse, Mataji?
Savai Pumsa Paro Dharmo Yado Bhaktir Adokshaje Ahe Tuki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidati.
Very nice. Thank you, Mataji. So this is how actually we should be studying Srimad Bhagavatam, remembering verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. So when we read the paper, we can know, no, this is not Srila Prabhupada saying himself whimsically, but he's only repeating the scriptures. So savai pumsam paro dharmo. Out of all kinds of dharma, the paro, the highest religious principles that is laid down by Krishna himself is what? Yato bhaktir adhokshaje. When transcendental loving service is established under the Supreme Lord Adhokshaje. Again, this word Adhokshaje is mentioned, one who is beyond the experience of material senses. And when that devotional service is ahetuki, without any personal motive, and apratihata, without any breakage, uninterrupted, then and then only, yayatma suprasiddhati, the spirit soul can be satisfied. Otherwise, there's no satisfaction for the spirit soul unless his love and service to Krishna is not established uninterruptedly and uninterruptedly. Thank you so much, Mataji. You can go ahead. Please read ahead.
Unfortunately, the illusion living beings, out of misunderstanding only, become servants of the senses by material desire. This desire is called avidya or nescience. And out of such desire, the living being makes different plans for material enjoyment centered upon a perverted sex life. He therefore becomes entangled in the chain of birth and death by transmigrating into different bodies on different planets under the direction of the Supreme Lord. Unless, therefore, one is beyond the boundary of this nescience, one cannot get free from the threefold of miseries of material life. That is the law of nature. The Lord, however, out of his causeless mercy, because he is more merciful to the suffering living beings than they can expect, appears before them and renovates the principles of devotional service comprised of hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, worshipping, praying, cooperating, and surrendering unto him. Adoption of all the above mentioned items as or any one of them can help a conditioned soul get out of the tangle of nescience and thus become liberated from all material sufferings created by the living being's illusion by the external energy. This particular type of mercy is bestowed upon the living beings by the Lord in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Mataji. So at the end, Prabhupada says that this particular type of mercy is bestowed upon the living entity by the Lord in the form of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is known as Mahavadanyaya, the most magnanimous form of the Lord. And the Lord himself in various incarnations appears to enact transcendental activities which attract the attention of the living entity. And in all those activities, he passes messages to living entities on how to act, how to behave, how to conduct. And this is our pathway to going back to him. So he comes to remind, you are mine. Mame pam shajivalokhe jiva bhuta sanatana. You are eternal, you are mine, you should be with me. And therefore, yad jatvana nivaratante tad dhamam paramam mama. You should come to my abode. After having gone there, you don't come back. Now, all this is done, and this is a beautiful verse. And as we mentioned, all verses of Kuntī Maharani are beautiful and should be memorized. And in this particular cluster of verses, these particular clusters are describing various reasons for Krishna's appearance. And out of all the reasons for Krishna's appearance, as far as we are concerned, this is the most important verse. Why? Anyone would like to describe why is this the most important verse? In the cluster of verses which describes the reasons for appearance of Krishna?
Is it because, Prabhu, it brings the principles of devotional service?
Yes. Something more?
Because
says
in
here
Kali
that
this
you
is the
appear
best
to
method.
Sorry, one person I could not hear. Yes, Vedaki Mataji.
in the translation, Prabhu, it says that you appear to rejuvenate the devotional service of hearing. And
Yeah.
and then, how can we take advantage of this process?
Yes, very good. That's the exact point, that this relates to us who are avidya, kama, karmavi, who are drowning in the science, in ignorance. And due to that, we are performing karmavi activities based on our own desires, which is entangling us in bhava, in this material creation, and which is making us klishyamananam. We are suffering due to our own ignorance, our own desires, and our own actions. However, Krishna appears to rejuvenate the process of Shravanam, hearing about his activities. And when we hear about Krishna's activities, then our avidya removes. We get vidya. And because we get vidya, then our karma, our desires are redirected towards acting according to the desires of the Lord. And when our desires become redirected towards acting towards being the desire of the Lord, then our karma, our actions also become purified. And in this way, Shravana, hearing, Smarana, remembering, Arhana, worshipping, Lord, Karishyan iti kechana, he appears for these reasons, kechana, others say. And for us, this is the most important reason that Krishna appears. Just imagine if Krishna did not appear to enact his various pastimes, and if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not appear to set an example on how we should do devotional service and surrender to Krishna, then what would happen to us? So on that note, I would request everyone to please meditate on this verse specifically today, and we can share. You can share your realizations in tomorrow's class. I'm sorry, I've gone a bit over time. Granth Raj Srīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Have a wonderful Krishna conscious day. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Prabhu. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.